Can you tell us what it means to be a protector or to protect in relations to the Black woman?
Mm, so yeah, um, so a lot of times we hear the phrase, you got to be able to protect and provide, right? But a lot of times that mindset is still not coming from a healthy place. And that's why I was specifically saying I had the ability to see my mother in her autonomy,
Mhm.
but then also in relationship to how she interacted with my father. Because as males, because of the type of society that we're raised in, we're taught and we learn that a woman is a woman based upon her proximity to us. We're never taught to look at a woman in her autonomy or as a being in and of herself. Even when you look at, even when you look at uh, titles that we use to describe ourselves, I'm Mr. Saladin. That's what they call me at school, right? I don't have them call me Mr. Allah because that just sounds weird. Like, okay, how you doing, Mr. the God? So I tell my students to call me Mr. Saladin. But when you look at the Mr., that represents autonomy and sovereignty in a sense because it does not tell you what my status is at all. It tells you nothing about who and what I'm in proximity to. But when you look at all of the different titles that are associated with a woman, it tells you in every instance that she has some proximity and relationship to us as a man. So her identity is based upon who we are or who we're not.
Hmm.
If she's a Miss, MISS, she's an unmarried woman.
Right.
That's based upon her status in relationship to me. It gives you no indicator of her autonomy. If she's a Mrs. MRS period, she's a married woman. So that still has something to do with me. If she's a Miss MS, you're not sure. That's a safe word. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if she's married or not. It's still based upon her proximity to me, you know? And because of the kind of society that we live in, women oftentimes define themselves within those parameters. And even the idea or the concept of protection and provision is defined within those parameters. So what I mean by that is when you ask a man about protecting and providing for a woman, it's always based upon a woman that has some proximity to him, meaning his woman, if you're putting it in that context in terms of someone that can be interpreted as he owns, because that's how some guys see it. It may be a family member, a daughter, an aunt, a mother, but it's always in proximity to someone that has some relationship to him. But you rarely hear men talk about the importance of protection and provision for women that has no relationship to you.
Right.
She's not a daughter. She's not no aunt, no girlfriend, no fiance, no wife, nothing like that. Because when you look at it in that context, now you begin to challenge that notion of proximity. And you really have to honor a woman's autonomy if you're talking about provision and protection for a woman that you're not doing this for in terms of a transactional relationship. In other words, do it for her because you're supposed to protect women, not because you want something.
Hmm.
Help put her in a position to have access to provisions or help provide for her because that's what equality is. It's not because you want something for her. It's not because she's a person in your family. Do it because that's the right thing to do. Because when you flip it around, males or men expect that all of the time. We expect being treated that way because the society, again, is based upon a, a misogynistic model.
Hmm.
But then when it comes to women, dudes ain't trying to provide for no woman or to protect no woman that they not sleeping with or they not trying to sleep with or that's not in their family.
Hmm.
And we have to change that mindset. And a part of that changing that mindset, a lot of us are not raised to identify women as a being. We objectify women. That's what we're taught. Even when you look at a sex act itself, it's based upon the objectification of a woman. If you ask a person of what is a sex act, the act itself starts with a man having an erection and then copulating at the end. Anything that happens in between, oh, well, whatever it is. But it starts with him and it ends with him. That's how people define sex. That's how society defines sex. Even when you look at the Motion Picture Association of America, and there's a whole different category of films that if it shows a woman having an orgasm, they make that shit NC-17. They automatically make that, and NC-17 is what formerly was called rated X. Even when you look at films, it shows that a woman is not supposed to be expressed in that capacity. Or now it's pornographic. But men can do that all day. You can show men being aroused and all of that all day. You know? So as males and as men, a lot of us are not taught anything about what I'm sharing right now, and we're definitely not taught the importance of emotional intelligence. And sometimes we're raised in an environment where the women who are rearing us don't know anything of what I'm talking about, which perpetuates this type of mindset that a lot of us males have about ourselves and about women, you know? So I saw a video maybe about a month or so ago, and there was a brother, and he was talking about one way that you advocate for women is you got to make sure that when she's not in the room, you know, to make sure that you speak on her behalf when she's not in the room, you know, and that's cool. But what if you ain't got no power? You just speaking somebody's name in the room, but you don't have no authority to follow through with the name that you're speaking in that room. So we're not in that era right now. We're in the stage where you have to make shit happen. Mm-hmm. It ain't even about speaking somebody's name in the room and defending somebody when they're not present. You have to put yourself in a position where you're able to move resources and empower women, not with talk, but with actual tangible resources, you know? So, and I would say this, and I don't talk about shit like this all of the time, but I say this, just within over the last year and a half alone, I've been able to successfully position women who own businesses where they've been able to access over $250,000. Not women that I'm sleeping with, not women I'm trying to sleep with, not women that are born of my father and mother, not aunties or nothing like that. Women that I love, I respect, and that I believe in. And if we as males and men are not willing to do that, then you honestly have to question if they are really supportive of women. Mm-hmm. If you're not striving to help a woman get her own money and to empower herself with actual resources, then you're bullshit. Mm. You're bullshit. You know? And it really shows and proves where you ultimately stand. So we ain't not in no era now where, oh, we just speaking a woman's name in the room and nah, fuck that. You need to be in a position of power where you can say, nah, I'm going to make sure that this woman gets this contract. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure that this woman is in this position, not because I want anything out of it, not because it's transactional, but because I understand the importance of this. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, and a lot of us is not operating like that. Number one, because we don't care.
Denise, I'm trying not to laugh, you know? Okay? she say
You
the
know?
most randomest stuff. Like in response, he was not random, but you know, when I'm looking up, like, yo, I'm trying not to laugh.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of us be talking that shit, but it's like, okay, if you're not able to really make power moves, then you're really useless.
Right.
And that's ultimately what it comes down to. And I'm saying this to women directly. If you're not if the guy that you're interested in, if he's not able to, especially if you're invested in a business or you have a vision of something that you're striving to do, if that person, without being provoked, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I ain't talking about you telling him, and if he's just not stepping up like, yo, I know this is important and I'm going to do that, and he doesn't step up and just do that, then you really have to question, like, if he's really aligned, with your purpose and your goals. And there's a lot of guys that's jealous. There's a lot of guys that are jealous of women about where they're at in life, what they're able to do. And that's not the type of dude that you want to be with either, because he's not going to genuinely celebrate what it is you're doing. If you own some land, right, and you have a vision of doing like a certain type of garden, him celebrating you is just going out on his own, getting a tractor, getting some other type of materials or whatever else without you asking him. He takes the initiative to go out and to make sure that he's contributing to your vision and your goals. See, women, y'all been doing that forever. So y'all know what that's about. Matter of fact, the way the society is set up, it's set up for women to interact with males that way. Again, women in this society are defined based upon their proximity to us as males. So women are naturally taught to do that. That comes along with the emotional intelligence that women naturally have.
Mm-hmm.
Us, on the other hand, we're not taught that.
Right.
We're not taught that at all. We're taught to objectify women. You know what I'm saying? So, all of this talk that people do, and if a man really wants to celebrate you, then he needs to help put you in a position of power. He needs to help put you in a position of power. If he's not helping you get money, and I'm not saying it's all about finances or something like that, but if he's not helping you in that capacity, then I don't know what the hell he's doing. He shouldn't be in a certain position in your life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because he's not adding on.
Right.
He's not adding on, and I'm not saying doing it because, again, some dudes do it because we're taught to have these transactional relationships with women, and we're only willing to provide and protect what we think is ours.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But, any woman that we see that's in a vulnerable position, if we have it in ourselves to be able to support her, we should. Not because we want shit out of it or we trying to maneuver and do this, that, and the third, but that is the honorable thing to do. And that is the type of relationship that we need, that coincides with the paradigm shift that we see that's happening right now. And when I say paradigm shift, I'm talking about women who have already taken those type of steps and have put themselves in a position of purpose and striving to live out their vision.
Mm-hmm.